When you go to the store or shop online these days, whatever, you don't look at the tax. You know that you have to pay the value that they're asking for it, and there's going to be some tax, and 9 times out of 10 you won't even ask what the tax is. You just pay it. And we're doing this such a proposal for a nominal amount. It's not like it's going to price ACCA out of the market and hurt their business.
Take a look at one of the oldest scams in history, 3 shells and the P. Watch closely as we move the shells around. Your only job is to try and guess which one contains the P. A, B, C, where could the P be? If you said C or B, you're incorrect. It's underneath A. But look, it's your first time playing, so how about we give you a fair chance? We'll use a sticker to mark where that P is. And if you follow that sticker, sure enough, it's going to be winner, winner, chicken dinner. Seriously, it's been on the same shell the entire time. But seriously, you can't go wrong as long as you follow the sticker. Look, we'll try that one last time. Watch closely as I cover the P with the shell. We cover the shell with a shot glass. And now all of a sudden we're going to cover the shot glass with a big metal cup, leaving us with, of course, 2 empty shells and the cup. And with a snap, the P is gone. It's no longer underneath any of these. It's actually in this shell over here. And that's because, wait, what about the sticker though? It's all about following the sticker.
6 months of shows. I don't think that that's enough. Now, I'm from the position that I think you need a full year, but I understand we probably don't have the support to do that. I'm willing to make an amendment on the budget. I want to distribute this to the alderman right now about this, is to allocate more money for you. But to do it in such a way, we would have to justify it by having an entertainment tax, and I've done some research on this, both Chicago and Evanston, and I've been so busy, I apologize, but those are the only 2 cities that I researched. They both have entertainment taxes. And so I'm proposing that we allocate, amend the budget to give you an ACCA another $400,000, which roughly maybe gives you 4 more months of programming, depending on how you spend that money, thereby bringing more people and economic activity to our downtown, and giving a soft landing not only to you, but for the downtown as well, because you will be increasing your capital plans to raise money, thereby needing less money from us and subsidizing that. So I think it's a partnership that we can proceed on. And so I asked, and I talked with the mayor about this, and he asked your Dana to come up with a motion, and I want to make that, if I may, at this point in time, a motion to amend the proposed budget to increase expenditure account 101-1360-45.50 -20 by $400,000 to be funded by future amusement tax in 2026, and to increase revenue account 101-1360-314.04-00 by the same amount to reflect the anticipated future amusement tax. So what that means is we would allocate money out of the budget today of $400,000 in the budget, but the Finance Committee would consider this and give it their due process and make a recommendation to come before the City Council hopefully with all deliberate speed. So that's my motion, Mayor.
So what the Alderman is proposing is that we enact an entertainment tax to cover the cost of the $400,000, and you get to the $400,000 through the math of, what is it, 630,000 tickets that were, or is it 630,000 tickets?
It's in 2024 we had approximately 630,000 attendees at ACCA venues. About 230,000 of those were to Chris Kindle Market, which is not ticketed. So I think that's where the 400,000 then would come from. So we have about roughly 400,000 tickets issued, or we did have roughly 400,000 tickets issued in 2024.
That are being paid for?
That are paid tickets.
From the 4 theaters?
Yes, from River Edge, from Stope Island, from Copley, and from Paramount.
Correct,
yes.
Right. So this is a way of having money available through a special entertainment tax that would only be utilized at the ACCA venues for the purposes of allocating more monies for them with their mission.
So just so the council's aware, when Alderman Seville brought this forward, my transition committee did actually, Dan Ferguson, who works for the city and was on the transition committee, he works in our finance department, had looked at this as a possible revenue stream, which again, we're not voting on tonight. I do have several slides if people want to see them, but as Alderman Seville said, this has been explored in other places. When I brought it up to finance, they had a number of questions. Would it impact the venue? Would it impact other high school entertainment? The initial proposal by Mr. Ferguson also included a streaming tax, which other municipalities have also considered. So that would be coming down the road, but if there's a motion and a second and enough people vote for this, then those same people presumably would have to vote for that, some form of that tax, which at a minimum would be $1 per ticket, which would roughly cover it, according to your math. Is that correct?
That is correct. I think we would have to break out on the details in the coming weeks, but yeah.
So there's been a motion. If there's a second, and if anybody wants to see the slides, I'll pull them up.
Second, and I have questions.
So there's a motion and a second. The question goes to Alderman Masiacos. It's only 9:30.
Only. You just talked about raising your ticket price, didn't you?
Yes, I did mention that, yeah.
Does the city have anything to do with that?
Yeah, we knew that with the budget crisis we needed to help.
No. I mean, do we collect that money? I know the answer, but do we collect that money?
No.
Do we have anything to do with how you collect your money for
No.
the tickets? All right. So you could raise the prices to $6 to make it $76.
That's right.
If you wanted to get that, your quasi form of government as well, right?
Yeah, we can price anything at whatever price we feel is appropriate. We've been very deliberate in our pricing. Over the past 15 years, we've increased on average about 5% per year, our top ticket price,
Okay.
specifically for Broadway. And this season, we've increased our ticket price
Okay.
about 20%, and we're going to do another bump next year. So this would be on top of that.
All right.
And if it is a small enough increment, we pushed it to where we felt comfortable, but if we're talking $1, I don't know that would have a dramatic impact on sales.
But you can create that. You can raise it to another $1 yourself.
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. Because what I want to get to as well now is with this proposal before us, that would mean that the city would have to get involved now to collect an extra $1. Correct?
Correct. There would be some administrative work on
So
the
they would
city's
collect
end.
it, they give it to us, and we write a check to give it back to them.
Correct.
That's what would happen. As opposed to you just raising it to $6. You don't have to collect the money, write us a check, and then we give it back to you. Okay, all right. Now my question is if we can have someone expand a little bit on the concept of what is it exactly that these other communities are taxing? Is it a similar type of quasi form of government with their venues? So we can understand how that structure is set up and why there's a tax, so I can understand what the difference or the comparabilities are here with what's being proposed.
I'm going to tell you now that I can pull the slides up, but I don't think Dan Ferguson is here tonight, who's the person who's done the research on it. And what they did and what we did don't have to be congruent, but I think there is capacity to do something there. John, can you pop those slides up? I might as well flip through them. And you can kind of, I mean, these are just bullet points, and again, this is all on the fly here, trying to, just address how you would potentially fund it. But again, there's some places that have sporting venues. We don't have any. We don't have a major university with sporting tickets that I think we want to tax. I think AE would probably be opposed to us taxing theirs, but that's something that's been considered. Movies and cinemas, we don't have a movie theater, and this would probably, if we included movie theaters, might prevent a movie theater from ever coming here. We do have amusement. I guess it's not amusement parks, but we have River Edge, and I believe Alderman Seville was looking at just considering the tax on only the ACCA facilities, the 4 ACCA
That's
facilities.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's asked what else has been done. So let's just flip through the slides and people can see what other. So this is Evanston, and theirs is a percent. It's not a flat tax. And they have exemptions for nonprofits, schools, et cetera. Bloomington is the other one. And again, the purpose here is just to show that other municipalities have done something similar. The next slide. And then this is a look at digital streaming, which both Chicago and Evanston have also done. But that would create even more of a burden on collection. Dan said that there's people that monitor this and it wouldn't be that difficult, but that's not what we're talking about in Alderman Seville's proposal, but this is just some of it. And then the following slide, I think, is this is just the committee recommended this. That again, it's the transition committee made a recommendation that this is one potential revenue stream that could better support ACCA. And so when Alderman Seville brought this proposal after doing his own research, I let him know that we had already done some internal research. Again, I'm not the person that did it, but I did want to at least share the concept and how it's been implemented in other municipalities. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. I mean, I'd love to know what these ordinances are, exactly what do they tax in general. So they don't just tax one specific entity. They tax pretty much across the board and or to a certain attendance seating capacity, and it's a percentage. And they keep that money. So the municipality keeps that money. That's what I'm gathering here from the slides.
We don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they do with it.
Okay, because then potentially if we do part this $1 per ticket, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to give it back every year. We can probably keep it if they figure out how to become solvent and keep moving on their own. We can probably keep that unless we revoke that 1% tax or the $1 tax down the road.
I don't think that's the intent, but
No, that's not the intent.
certainly it would have to be drafted in a way that I think your intent was to make it more residual. But I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, I would say the intent is to make it so, because we could always spend money on something else with the city, on a variety of things and needs that we all have. But my intent is to make it only go to ACCA and help them. When we go out and buy a good at the store, whether it be a big screen TV or whatever, we don't ask what the tax is. We just pay it. What we ask is what's the sale price, and that's the same with the ticket. When they buy a ticket from ACCA, they don't ask what the taxes are. They ask what the sale price is, and they pay that. And if you're embarking upon an increase that's really a tax, which is what this would be, then you're making ACCA less competitive, I think. And I think you've done a study with regard to raising your rates in preceding years, but you've done it in a way where it doesn't affect your market that you're hoping to draw into our community. And these are some details that would be fleshed out at Finance Committee. This is just right now approving the amendment of allocating more monies and referring that ordinance to staff and the Finance Committee to flesh out and make a recommendation to City Council.
Correct.
Let me ask you a question.
Alderman Smith, then Alderman Bate. Alderwoman Smith, Alderwoman Smith, then
I'm
Alderwoman
going to
Bate.
direct it to you because it's your amendment here. Are you suggesting that we give the $400,000 upfront to ACCA, included in the budget, or are you suggesting we give it to them over time? Are you suggesting we add this amount to the ACCA budget now?
Well, I would direct that really to the mayor with the $2 million that we're giving them. When do they get that?
So we some of it we delayed because it's coming from gaming tax from the anticipated new revenue coming out of the casino. So the whole part comes from the transformation fund and part comes from the gaming tax of new revenue coming forward. So I think we were looking at something early and half later. With respect to if we were to do this, presumably it would be later because you would have to collect the ticket sales along the way throughout the year, and presumably we would need to run this through finance at the beginning of January to give you as much time to accumulate those ticket
I'm not done with my question.
revenue.
Okay, I've finished my questions. Okay, so presumably if we do it later, if we go forward with this, and would that give enough funding for 10 months of $1 million quartet versus 6 months of $1 million quartet, and could that happen in 2026?
I think we'd want to look at how the next extension goes before we made a final determination. But I would think that it would allow us to take that March extension and run it through the entirety of 2026. I would think that would get the job done.
Okay, and another question is, when we look at this number, that number included the Bold Series last year, the 400,000 tickets, right? The number of tickets.
Yes.
So that would be subtracted
Well,
out in 2026.
Correct. That number's not a large number. I forget what would be off the top of my head, but last year in 24 was not a full year for $1 Million Quartet either. It was only a half
Okay.
year. So I think they might balance out.
Okay, and
It also wasn't a full year for River Edge Park at all.
Yeah, we had 24 numbers in that 630, but we didn't have 25 numbers.
And lastly, something for us to all remember is that every time there's a show, there's more people in our downtown, and they're spending money in our restaurants and our bars. So it goes bigger than just this dollar right here. So we have to remember that, and every show we remove, 6 months, 10 months versus 6 months, is less money spent outside of the theater. So I do like this idea. I hope we move forward with it.
And Mayor, the dollar that we talked about is just a number that we threw out. I mean, you would consider like $1.25 or $1.50 if that's not enough to cover
Yeah, I
the
think
needed
we'd want to talk
4
about
months.
what's actual. And maybe it's
Exactly,
different
yes.
depending on if it's.
So I understand that's not totally cast in stone. This gives us an idea as to, and tells us what your needs are, so we can make the decision accordingly. But my goal is not necessarily to help ACCA 100%, is to have this partnership with the downtown and ACCA and the city, moving together on this and providing an economic development so all can succeed. So.
Alderwoman Bade and then Alderman Penrose.
So this is going to only be applicable to ACCA, this entertainment or amusement tax.
Certainly, the proposal needs to come before the Finance Committee and come before the whole council, but what Alderman Seville is suggesting right now is just a $1 tax per ticket on the 4 ACCA facilities, excluding the venue, I guess you can't exclude all nonprofits because ACCA is a nonprofit.
Oh, okay. So right now, if we collect tax, there is administrative time or manpower involved.
Good point.
As Alderman Masiaco mentioned, why don't we just increase the price of ticket by $1 or $2? Whatever you are planning to increase, just increase that instead of having city collect it, pay additional overtime to city staff, or hire another person for this, and there'll be some cost to that. And another thing was, if we collect more than 400K, all of it goes to ACCA, or just 400K goes to ACCA and rest remains with the city? I'm not clear about this. This is
All
just.
goes to ACCA.
So what is this 400,000 then?
All would go to ACCA. This is just an
Example?
entertainment tax to help ACCA
Okay.
and ACCA only.
Okay, so whatever we collect, everything goes back to ACCA.
Correct.
This is just an example. So
Right.
why doesn't the ticket price increase by $2? And why are we catching it and then sending it back? I don't understand.
I don't
that
want to
part.
speak for the ACCA, but I think I would assume you market your shows based on the cost of the ticket, not based on the taxes that would be attached to it. And like I was explained earlier, when you go to the store or shop online these days, whatever, you don't look at the tax. You know that you have to pay the value that they're asking for, and there's going to be some tax, and 9 times out of 10, you won't even ask what the tax is. You just pay it. And we're doing such a proposal for a nominal amount. It's not like it's going to price ACCA out of the market and hurt their business.
And how was
Is
the
that-
online? Sorry.
Well, I just wanted to mention, we can thank Ticketmaster for changing some recent legislation. So if we mention a ticket price in an advertisement, it has to include all of the potential fees. So taxes included, fees, online fees. You have to list the maximum dollar value of the highest ticket. So you have 2 choices: not mention what the ticket costs, which we do more now than we used to, or you can list maybe a range, tickets from this to that, but that range has to include all fees. So that's why we're a little sensitive about. And we actually, our fees are not, our in-person fees are only $1 historic preservation fee, and when they buy on phone, there's a phone fee of $3 per ticket. If they buy on the internet, there's an additional 14.5% for a convenience fee for buying on the internet. So it does add up, and that number gets big. And we unfortunately can't give them the tickets starting at $17 anymore. We have to we can thank Ticketmaster though. So yeah,
So your hidden tax will not be hidden.
it's not so good.
So, so when people are buying tickets online on Paramount's website, now there will be another item with amusement tax that will be
Correct.
sent to city, and then
Correct.
you will get it back.
So once every 3 months, 6 months, however we wanted to, we would run a report, cut a check, send it to the city. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Benuelos?
Hi, I just have a quick question. In your expertise, why is the $1 Million Quartet losing money?
Well, we're just not selling. We're not selling enough tickets to cover the cost. That's the long and the short of it. The word of mouth is tremendous on the show, but the audiences are limited, so it's taking time to generate the word of mouth.
And so you're going to remedy that by?
Well, we hope eventually we're going to have to close the show when we stop selling enough, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, ultimately, we'll need to close the show because it's losing money. So it's losing money now. We would close the show if it continues to lose money. So part of the business that we're in is, we're responsible for bringing people downtown. That's our job, expose them to the arts. It's best if it's done in volume. It has more impact on the community, especially the restaurants. And if we can keep the tickets affordable, then we have more people that show up. So we're playing that game of trying to bring as many people downtown, not overcharge, but also pay our bills, and that's why we're constantly adjusting, pricing, trying to squeak out what we think we can, what the market will bear. So,
Have you seen the show, Alderman Benuelos?
Yes, it's a great show.
All right, just making sure.
Have you?
Yes, no.
I could tell.
Why do you say that?
I could tell by the questions you were
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't.
We'll get you
okay, got you. Fair enough.
Oh, goodness.
I do have a question.
Alderman White.
So I have a question. It's the specifics of how this is written. I'm trying to understand. I see we're increasing expenditures in one account by 400,000. Then it says increasing expenditures in another account by the same amount. Can you explain that? I don't understand
That's a staff question. All right.
Good evening, Linda Reed, Comptroller, Deputy Treasurer. One is a revenue, one is an expense.
Oh,
So basically,
got it, okay.
the one with the 300 number level is the revenue, and the 400 number is the expense.
Got it, okay.
And they offset to zero, so it's zero impact to the budget.
Alderman Bug? Are
Yeah.
you done, Alderman? Sorry. Alderman Bug?
Yeah, again, I want to thank you for coming, Tim, and really your response to our predicament. You have looked at things, you've seen some things that need to move around. You had to move the ticket prices a little bit. That always hurts, but you do what's necessary. You're doing a great job. I already got my boating tickets today. They went on sale today. Here, shameless plug. Go see the boatings. They're coming to Aurora. I'll be in the 7th row. So you're bringing in the acts, different things. So I commend Alderman Seville. It's hard. Do you want to raise prices by $1, or do you want to, in a way, hide it and a tax? And that's kind of what you're doing it. I have a little bit of experience with Evanston. Evanston has other things, of course. Evanston has a university. They're building a new stadium, so that's a whole different ballgame. There's a reason they have that there. Chicago, of course, is a different beast with their things, but unfortunately, I have teenagers, so I'm real experienced. My kids were at the Salt Shed 2 nights ago, the Aragon Ballroom 10 days ago. They're there all the time. Your ticket prices are very, very, they're better. They are. And you don't have to pay for all that parking. You don't have to, all that other craziness. So I commend you on what you're doing. It's a tough sell. I think it may be better if we go this route to hide it in a tax, if we go this route. Because anytime you say, okay, we increased ticket prices, and now we're increasing them again. So that's a bad look, because we just did it. So, okay, we're going to bump it another $1. Then people feel like, okay, they're really trying to reach in my pocket. So this is a very interesting, Alderman Seville, approach, but I think it could have some merit.
Any other comments or questions, Alderman Masiakos?
Yeah, just one more question for clarification here. On all the tickets that were comped, do you still have to collect $1 on them then?
I would hope not.
How would we find that out? What's...
And when we write the ordinance, we would have to write it so they don't include comp ticket prices?
And there could be a world where ACCA does its own ordinance too. We have the ability to institute resolutions and ordinances, and it could be simpler if you wanted us to do it instead.
I think that you need to be also controlling your own ship. I really do believe that, and I know you have been. But especially in a time like this, if you're going to be raising prices at the same time, we're also discussing about adding a $1 tax. It means maybe you're not controlling your ship as well, 100%, because you could actually just raise your price another $1 at this juncture while we figure out how to work out maybe an amusement tax down the road, if at all. So that's all. I think I said it.
Anybody else on this one before we go forward with a vote? My main thing is that if we're going to vote to move money, then we need to approve some form of tax, and we'll get staff working on a proposal soon and bring it to finance, and we can do it. We can't have 7 people vote to fund it and then 5 only vote to approve the funding mechanism. Alderman Franco.
So I just want to say that the whole community, the Chicagoland area, knows that ACCA needs help. Chicago downtown theaters are also going through the same thing. So raising ticket prices is the nature of the beast that we're in right now. I think everybody's going to understand that. If we do this tax, it could take a little heat off ACCA because the city of Aurora is doing it, not ACCA. So you can actually split up the responsibility and the reasons why you're doing it. If we do the tax and ACCA's flush, we can keep that in a fund for years for that one rainy day. So I think the hybrid of them raising and us doing this would work out very well for a number of reasons. And as we evolve into whatever we need to, whether we're flush or we need more money, we're going to have that fund there going forward. So I think it's pretty good. I don't think anybody's going to complain about it because everybody knows the arts need to be sustained. They understand the cost, and I think that's been. Believe me, I was at the Jeff Awards, and they all said the same thing. We got to make sure the Paramount does well. We're going to do whatever we can. Their ticket prices are relatively low, so everybody understands that. So I think what we're talking about is an easy one. I don't think that's a problem at all. But I think the hybrid between them raising a little bit and us doing it is probably the better way to go because we can always keep that rainy day fund in case they don't need it for the time that they do. So I just think that's a pretty good way to go.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Benuelos, you're back.
Yes. So have you announced your ticket prices, what the raise on the ticket prices are?
We have not announced our 26-27 season yet. We'll be doing that in January.
Okay, so if the ticket price is $65 or you're going to increase it to $65, you could technically just increase it to $66 and nobody would know the difference.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so your time frame is beginning of the year. What about the subscriptions? Is there a plan?
Well, we
without
would
revealing
announce
the big show.
We're going to announce the next extension, the $1 Million Quartet, next week. So, and that's going to be a $75 ticket. That's our plan, 75. We've gone from 65 to 70 to now 75 for this next limited engagement. And then for Broadway, we announced January 19th, our next season. 26-27, we announced at the Gala. We're going to announce our 4 Broadway shows. We've already come up with pricing for that, looked at the other theaters and tried to benchmark, and we have all of that set. And that's about a 20% increase we did a 20% increase this year, and we're doing, I think it's about a 3% for this next year, additional 3%. So it's a substantial increase. And they will see that, but they're subscribers, and they've been with us for a long time. I think they know the value. They know that we're maybe under market, and deliberately so, because we're trying to drive volume to downtown. So we're going to be pushing market rate for. It's interesting. The theaters have really jacked their prices up recently, and that's what we learned. Where the top ticket price at some of our competitive theaters were, upper 90s. Now they're pushing 130, 140. It's so everyone is moving. I think it's going to be the death of some theaters. We're not going to go that aggressive, but 20% is. Our top ticket price was 87. Now it's 103. That's not including fees, so it's not a small jump. So we're pushing that way because we think our demand will not be constant, but it's not going to be dramatically impacted.
Okay. No other questions. There's been a motion and a second. We're only voting on the amendment as proposed by Alderman Seville. I'll ask clerk to please call the roll.
Ferrero?
Yes.
Garza? Yes. Masiacos?
No.
Nunez?
Yes.
Franco?
Yep.
Seville? Yes. Benuelos?
No.
Smith?
Yes.
Bug?
Yes.
Bade?
Yes.
Larson?
No.
Wade?
Yes.
9 yes, 3 no.
Okay. The amendment carries to increase the budget line